I'm talking about the Lookism anime only because I haven't read the manga. The character I'm talking about is underrated. I like Park Han Sok's mother as a character because she did many unexpected things that helped Han Sok in many ways. Now, I will say multiple good things about Park Han Sok's mother, and I'm calling Park Han Sok's mother Mrs. Park in this. The first good thing about Mrs. Park is she's protective of Han Sok. Mrs. Park hit Logan because she saw him bullying her son Han Sok. Logan's a big guy, and the majority of people would have been too scared to attack someone like Logan because of retaliation from him. Mrs. Park didn't care that Logan weighed more than her and was taller than her, plus could beat her up. She still went after him. Also, Mrs. Park was going to take Logan to the principal office to talk about the wrong things Logan did to Han Sok. She wanted to help out Han Sok to stop him from being continually bullied by Logan. Mrs. Park is shown to be very protective of Han Sok and has his back, even in a scary situation where she could have gotten hurt. You should subscribe to my channel. The good thing about Mrs. Park is that she is kind to Han Sok even with him blaming her. Han Sok continues to blame his mother for the issues he has been facing. Han Sok blamed his mother, Mrs. Park, for being fat because Mrs. Park added eggs to the soup he wanted to eat. He did ask her previously to stop adding eggs, but she forgot. Han Sok could have avoided the eggs inside the soup and tried to eat the soup. Also, he could have decided not to eat the soup to avoid gaining weight. Han Sok didn't have to blame her. Even with everything Han Sok said to his mother, Mrs. Park still decides to be sweet to him and apologize to him. Also, Mrs. Park didn't even bash or say anything about Han Sok for the problems he caused, such as Han Sok putting a hole in the wall of the house when she could have. She doesn't have to be sweet to him and could have disowned him for all the bad things he says about her and for messing up the house. Mrs. Park isn't the cause of Hansok having the challenges he has been dealing with in his life. In addition, she could have blamed Hansok for all of the issues that she has in life, but she doesn't do it to him. Mrs. Park is kind to him without doing anything or saying anything that would offend Hansok, which shows she's very kind to him. Sadly, Mrs. Park blames herself for everything that happens to Hansok and tries to fix the problem. It shows how much she cares for him and does things to make him happy. The third good thing about Mrs. Park is that she works two jobs to support Hansok in going to school in another area. Mrs. Park is facing difficulties paying for the house she lives in, even though the house has cracks and holes. She still goes out of her way to work two jobs to help Han Sok stay in his new house and school because he asked to transfer out of that school he was formerly inside. One of the jobs Miss Park does is collect scraps for money. Much of the work Miss Park does is tiresome and difficult, but she still keeps doing it no matter what, so Hansok won't have to stop going to school or transfer out. Also, she never had to work as much as she did now, but continues to do it for his sake. The fourth good thing about Mrs. Park is that she unknowingly give money to Hansok's perfect body, who is pretending to be Hansok's friend for the drink he brought her, even though he told her he doesn't need the money. Mrs. Park still persuades him to take the money that she offered him. Also, Mrs. Park is having trouble paying the bills and working two jobs because the work doesn't pay much and she never worked two jobs before. In addition, it was difficult for her to find a job that can pay her a lot, which is why she has a job picking up scraps for money. Mrs. Park still went out of her way to give money to Hansok's so-called friend without caring about the difficulties she's dealing with now. It was very generous of Mrs. Park to do. That is all the good things about Mrs. Park. You should subscribe to my channel, like the video if you like the video, and comment with your own opinion. Now, peace.